Hey everyone, Kelly Dean Allen here with you again, your favorite classic Aerosmith junkie. Today we're going to have a look at how to play Lord of the Thighs, one of the great Aerosmith classics from the band's 1974 album, Get Your Wings. A track solely written by Steven Tyler, if you didn't know that already. Good stuff. Let's close in here a little bit and have a look at how to play it, shall we? Alright then, Lord of the Thighs and Aerosmith from Get Your Wings. We are in standard tuning for this tutorial. However, I think the studio version of this one is tuned down a half step, but for convenience sake, and for simplicity, we're going to keep it in standard tuning for this tutorial. This track starts with drums, and when the guitars do come in, they come in with this for 4 full bars. That's 2. And that's 4 right there. So 3rd fret C note here on the A string, just down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up for 4 full bars. 3, 4. 4, and that is going to continue when the other guitar joins with this. So we're just grabbing a little F major triad here on the 10th fret, D, G, and B string with a bar, right? And you're going to back it up 2 spots to E flat, and then back it off to C. So you're just going to grab like a C bar chord here. We're just working on the A, D, and G string here. Hit this C on the downstroke, and then grab this little double stop on the 5s of the D and the G on the upstroke 6 times. Very staccato, very press and release, press and release. Kind of like that, right? And you're going to repeat that twice. That is delay on the studio version. This is kind of how they would play it live without the delay, right? And then you're going to go back into F. Then you're going to move it up 3 spots to A flat, bar on the 13s, and then you're going to back it off to G. And do the same thing we did in C, right back here, but now it's continuous. You're going to upstroke that like 12 times in a row. So just a little G chord here at the 10th fret position, right? A little G bar chord. And then the double stop, you're just hitting the 12s of the 2 middle strings on the upstroke, right? Like 12 times in a row. Right, and then we just drop right back into this C note again for 4 more bars. And the piano comes in, right, playing a little melody over top of that, right, for 4 bars. Live, they will play the piano parts on the guitar, kind of like this. Right, just double stops on the 2 middle strings, 5s, off to the 3s, back to the 5s, into the 8s, right? I like to play it all with 1 finger. Kind of like that, down, up, right? And that leads into the first verse and this little progression. So that's the first verse. We're kind of descending down the low E string here, kind of slowly tremolo picking this, right? Starting on the 8th fret, we're going to go from 8 to 6 to 4 to 3, and then into an F power chord that we're going to hang in for 2 bars. 4, 3, F, ba-dum, ba-dum, F, ba-dum, ba-dum, right? And then we're going to play the same progression, but now with power chords. So when we're playing power chords, we're hitting this C power chord once, 8th fret, and then we're going to go to 6 and 4 and 3, right? We're going to hit that one once. When we go off to a B flat, we're going to hit that one twice. When we go off to A flat, we're going to hit that one 3 times. And when we go off to G, we're going to hit that twice before moving off to F. Right, that is the verse progression there. Now live, you'll often see Brad, if you watch any videos on YouTube, he'll go into a little blues progression here, bouncing off the 5 of the A. Kind of like that, right? I am not hearing that on the studio version. I'm hearing straight Fs. So if that blues progression is there, it's very buried in the mix. And then again, the second half of the verse is all power chords. Right, and then we're into the pre-chorus. So we're taking an A-flat major chord here, backing it off to G. Kind of like that, right? Into this chord right here, which is the top end of a C minor 7 chord. So 3 of the G, 4 of the B, and 6 of the high E, just on the top 3 strings, right? A flat, G, C minor 7. Now over top of that, we have this nice slow bend on the 11 of the B string, right? And then we're back into the A flat off to G again. And then back into that C minor 7, the top end of a C minor 7 chord, right? And then the second time, just the other guitar is just grabbing those 2 notes, right? They sound a little more prominent out of that C minor 7, right? Maybe a little waggle, right? Right back into that tremolo pick C note for 4 more bars and the piano, right? Live. I'm going to do that again into the next verse, same as the first. Power chords. Into A flat. Off to G, into that little triad, right? A flat off to G again. Now, the other guitar at this point, playing over top of this, reverses what he did the first time. So the first time, he's grabbing that little double stop there on 3 and 4 of the G and the B, and the second time, he does that bend on the 11 because he's leading into the guitar solo, he being Joe Perry, right? And the first solo goes something like this. We're soloing in C using a bit of a mix of major and minor here. So coming off that bend on the 11, right, we're going to grab the 8 of the high E, slide it back to 6, up to 8 of the B, back to 6, and back to 8 of the B, right? Then you're going to pick that again, and then grab the 8 of the high E with your pinky under it, and then release the bend on the B string. Kind of like that, into this. So, going to grab a note here at the 8th fret, just hit it and choke it off of the high E. Then you're going to pull off 6 off to 5 of the high E, up to 8 of the B. Then you're going to shift everything back here to the 3s and 5s. Into that, so pulling 5 off to 3 of the high E, up to 6 of the B. Back to the 3 of the high E, and then 6 off to 5 of the B. And then slide out of it. Kind of like that. So from the beginning, coming out of that bend, right? Into this. So we're going 3 onto 5 of the G, pick it again, into a full step bend, you can give it a little vibrato, and then 3 onto 5 and back to 3 of the D. Kind of like that, right? And then 3 onto 5 again. And then again, you're going to do like 3 or 4 little bend releases of that 5. And like the 4th time, you're going to pull it back off to 3, and then 6 off to 5 of the B. Kind of like that to finish the solo. First solo, right? Right? Into the bridge. 4 times, just power chords or bar chords, right? F, off to E flat, and then C, right? 3 times. F, E flat, C, and then the final time, same chords. Much more staccato, and you're only hitting them once. F, E flat, C, G. Right, to finish the bridge, and that leads into the main solo. So I'm going to run through the main solo here, and then we'll dig into how to play it. Right there. So now we're in this box here, this kind of C minor pentatonic box, but like I said, we're using a lot of major scale notes here. Hammering from minor third onto the major third here on the 8 onto the 9 of the G, and then we're going to ride down the 8s of the B and the high E. And then drop right onto 11 of the B with a double hit. And then again, 8, 9 down to the 8 of the B. And then string skip up to the 10 of the D string with a double hit. Kind of like that to start the solo. Then you're going to repeat the first one again. Double hit on that 11, right? Finishing with this. So again, 8 onto 9, down to 8 of the B. Then you're going to hammer onto 10 of the B, and then up to 10 of the D. With a double hit, right? So that whole little progression. And then again, we're going to go 8 on the 9, roll down the 8s, right onto the 10 of the high E for a half step bend. Right? And then again, 8, 9, roll down the 8s. And then coming off that 8 of the high E, you're going to drop onto 11, pull it off to 8, and then pull 10 off to 8. Kind of like that, right? And then again, we're into that. So again, we're going 8, 9, riding down the 8s. And then we're going to drop onto the 11 of the B and pick it 3 times. Into this. Just 3 little pull-offs from 11 off to 10 off to 8. In succession, right? And that's about the first half of the solo. Right? Into this. So we're grabbing the 10 of the high E, 2 half step bends, into this. So off to 8, up to 11 of the B, back to 8. Then a double hit on the 11 of the high E, pull it off to 8, grab the 11 of the B, and then back to the 8 of the high E. Kind of like that. Right? Into this. So 11 of the high E, bend release, pick it when you release it, little back and forth from the 8 to the 11 of the B, right? And then one final bend release of that 11, and then release it back to the natural note. So from the beginning of that section there. Right? And then we're into this to finish up the solo. So we're repeating the same lick in 3 positions here. We're on 15 of the high E, on to 18. You're going to pick that 18 twice, pull it off to 17, off to 15. Back onto 17, pick that twice into a little half step bend. Kind of like that, right? Then back it up to 8 and 10, or sorry, 8 and 11. Do the same thing. And then move it up to the B string on the same frets. And when you get into that final bend there on the 10 of the high of the B, you're going to grab the 8 of the high E and let those notes ring together. right? And that is the solo, so let's take it from the top. Right? Into the bridge. Again. F, E flat, C, final time, single hits. Into G to finish. And at the very end of this track, we have this, which continues for a long time, like 40 seconds or so. Over and over and over again. So we're going to start with a double hit on this first fret here, this B flat on the A string, drop onto 3, and then just go 1 3 1 3 1 3, right? And then you're going to hit 5 times on this, going forward every time. So only the first time do you hit it twice. And over top of that, like I said, that goes on for quite some time. Over top of that is just kind of like some atmospheric guitars, maybe a little bit of slide with a lot of delay and echo and whatnot. Not really anything that we're going to get into here. And there you go. That just continues until the end, like I said. And that is how you play Lord of the Thighs by Aerosmith. Certainly hope you enjoyed that, found it helpful. If you did, please hit that like button right down there. Maybe drop me a subscribe if you haven't done that already, as that would be very kind. Hope you're well out there, and we will see you next time. Cheers.